Good morning, dear Stitchers. It's Judy with JBW Designs, and I want to welcome you back to my video. My Flosstube video. I have to look to see. It's number 77. So I want to kind of start out and warn you about my voice, and I'm hoping that the microphone that I have here will help. I had a cold start last week, and it's gone into a cough, and I tried to record last Friday, and that didn't work very well. So I'm going to try again today, and if I suddenly jump up and leave my desk here and my recording, don't be alarmed. I will be back, but it means that I need to cough a little bit, and I don't want to do that on the video, of course. So as always, I want to thank you for choosing to come and watch the video. I know you have so many choices. If you're like I am, I'm quite overwhelmed actually about how many Flosstubers that I love to watch, and sometimes it's hard to find enough time to watch all those that you really want to see. So I'm very grateful. I'm grateful for you watching, for subscribing, for making such wonderful comments. You're just so encouraging. So I'm very appreciative. Let's see. So I have two parts to this video, I would say. I wanted to review my weekend at StitchCon. I know a lot of other people have done that too, and I'll try to maybe put a different spin on my views of it, but I absolutely loved it. And this is the second year that I've gone. It is so much fun. I didn't get a lot of stitching done. I was pretty much being a very social butterfly, kind of going from table to table because I had to see my old friends and I wanted to meet new friends, and it's just amazing. So for those of you who don't even know what StitchCon is, I'm going to give you a brief overview and then tell you about some of the parts of it, because part of the description is probably going to sound quite overwhelming. So StitchCon is basically a stitching convention. It's in Sharonwood, Ohio. Sharonville? I think I have that wrong. Anyhow, it's right outside of Cincinnati. It's in a lovely area, and it's held at a convention center. And there are actually 300 people who attend this event. And I will admit that in the beginning, when I heard about it, I thought, I just can't quite imagine myself being in a venue that is that large. I just couldn't picture how it was going to work. And all I can tell you, it works like a charm. There are tables set up, and each table has 5 to 7 people at it. One of the things that they added this year excuse me, was they put a little sign in the center of the table that said "Join us," and that is for people who are going for the first time and who don't know anybody, and you just choose a table and go sit with these people. And I can tell you from everybody that I've talked to, you end up with friends for the rest of your life. It's just amazing. And the vibe of the weekend, I got a wonderful note yesterday from Chris Crosstitch, who was at Weekend B, and I'm so sorry that we didn't get a chance to meet, but I asked him, it was his first time, I said, did you like it? He said, I loved it. He said, I have lifelong friends from just sitting at this table with complete strangers. And that's true. It's just it's so positive. And I think one of the things about it is that everybody who is in that room loves the exact same thing that you do. So I can't say enough good things about how Barbara from Keepsakes, which is of course the shop in Ohio that runs it, she and her staff are incredible. You never hear it cross word. People are happy. It's just amazing. So I want to tell you a little bit about the weekend and what things that you might want to participate in and what things you don't have to. It's all up to you. So one of the things that happens, and again, this is optional, is that you'll sit down at your table. I got there like Thursday afternoon, it started that morning, and all of a sudden there's just this wonderful pile of things that people have dropped off at your table that they've made for you, that they want to give away. And it's everything from little floss tags to just a wide range of little gifts, which are so sweet. But I want to tell you, you do not have to do this. I'm sure this year I tried to make a gift for everyone, but it actually takes quite a while even to distribute them. So I don't want you to feel like that's something you have to do, and not everybody participates in that. I don't even have a sample of what I gave away this year. I didn't even bring the little booklet, but from my Flights of Fancy booklet, there's a little bird that I did separately. And I had my printer make floss cards that were scalloped around the edge with this little bird in the center of it. And then I just packaged it in a little bag. So that was my giveaway this year. So that's definitely optional. One thing that I think a lot of people do, but again, you don't have to, is that we usually make little gift bags for the people who are sitting at our table. So my roommate this year was Annie Turner of the Proper Stitcher, and that was just fabulous. Chrissy from Finally a Farm Girl was at our table. Terry and Jen, who's a Sweet Chaos Stitcher, and AJ. And we just had AJ and Terry I had not met before. And so it was great. You know, you sit and you chat and you get to know one another. So for my table gifts, I like to give things that are local to Kalamazoo. So I found a locally made chocolate and some caramel corn. And then I threw in some other little gifts that I just found that I thought they might like. There is a table called the brag table, and what that means, of course, is that you can bring something that you stitched and just lay it on the table with a little tag telling who the designer is and what the fabric and fibers are, etc. You will not believe the models that people bring. It's so inspiring. I've got to take water here. It's just amazing. I did bring something this year I didn't last year. I didn't bring one of my designs. I just brought that GGR model that I stitched, which was a 3-year project. So I'm not sure I'll have anything that spectacular to bring next year. Another thing that happens at this event, and where did I put it is the question. Oh, here it is, right in front of me. So they do a smalls exchange. And again, this is completely optional. I decided, and so it means that you make something that is less than, I think the measurements are like 5 inches square, and it's done very fairly. You put it in a little gift bag, and then they have 3 separate sessions, excuse me, where people come and they tell you what number you're going to be, and you go up and choose a bag off the table. Well, my gift this year was, and last year too, was just fabulous. So I want to show it to you because I'm going to tell you who did it for me. It was done by Denise. And, oh, do I have the card here? Yes, okay. Denise Robinson is from Idaho, Falls, Idaho, and it was a pattern designed by Doreen Jones, and it's called Floral, Scissor Case, and Fob. Ladies and gentlemen, this is spectacular. Look what she did. She finished it into this beautiful case with the pin. There's a separate scissor fob, which is stitched on both sides, with a set of scissors, and then there is even more stitching on the back. I was just blown away, and Denise, I can't thank you enough. I wish I'd gotten your address. You get overwhelmed because I would have loved to have sent you a thank you note and some gifts as a thank you. So if you happen to listen to this, Denise, please write to me, send me an email, and I definitely will do that. This was a gift that I received that I thought was so darling. It was in this darling little crate, and this was from Mary, and she did a strawberry with pins in it. There's some other little strawberries in here, and then there was candy in the bottom of the crate, which has long since disappeared. So, and her company name is BEEUEWE Needleworks.com, and it looks like she's going to be doing this. She said it's coming this month, actually, custom embroidery, patterns, pin cushions, pins, etc. So I will try to remember to put this in the notes below. So let's see, what else can I tell you about? The other wonderful facet of StitchCon, and then I'll stop for a minute, is that there is an auction on Saturday night, and they actually do fundraising by selling raffle tickets, etc., and giving away prizes all weekend long. But each time that Barbara does StitchCon, she chooses a philanthropic project from Cincinnati, and they're just, you know, they're nonprofits that really need help. And this year, and the people that are working for that nonprofit come and tell us about the purpose of it, and you get so excited because you want to support them. And this year it was, I forgot to look up the name. There is a business in Cincinnati that takes slightly used furniture, and it gives that furniture to families who are really struggling, that have nothing. They've lost their jobs, they don't have a place to live, etc. And they try to help them get back on their feet with this donated furniture. And one of the things that people need the most are beds. So they titled this project Beds for Sleepy Heads. And they talked about the number of children who don't have a bed to sleep in. So they take gently used mattresses, but then they also count on donations to buy new mattresses for the beds that are donated. And I haven't heard the totals yet, but it would blow you away how much was raised to give to this philanthropic project. So all in all, fabulous weekend. I hope some year that you get a chance to go also. So let me move on to other topics here. Let's see, I have two other things to show you that from that weekend. So this is a project bag that is made by Tammy Blalock of Creative Country Girl. And Tammy was there. I had met her last year, but this year I really got a chance to visit with her. And she does just beautiful project bags and all kinds of totes. I'm going to show you two of her things. So I sent her, I had this idea that I wanted to take my initials from my Renee's French alphabet booklet, and I stitched them and sent her just the stitched piece, and I had her make it into a project bag. And I just love the way this turned out. It is gorgeous. I sent her fabrics actually, and they turned out to be not great. And she wrote back and she said, I found some things. These are Tilda patterns, which I think are just gorgeous. It's the perfect color. And then there's a little handle at the top here, and you can see the lining on the inside. So I was so pleased. Tammy, I can't thank you enough for that. And then to add to that, she made me a gift of one of her totes. And she used the French General fabric. Isn't this fabulous? I will be using this in my travels, that's for sure. Look at the inside lining. So thank you, Tammy. I will also post her information in my my notes below. I just love what she made. So I'm going to try to set these aside because you know I'm surrounded by things. So when I saw you last time, I told you about an estate sale, I think I did, that I had been to. And I was kind of sad in a way because it's not something I love doing it. It was fun to do. It's not something that I've done often, so I really didn't know the sequence. It was an hour away from here. I could have been there earlier. But a friend of mine from Grand Rapids, Gail, wrote to me and said there are samplers for sale. So I was very hopeful. I was way too late. There was someone who was in line probably at the very beginning and bought many samplers. But I persevered, and I did go in, finally got into the house. It took quite a few hours actually to get in, and there were several small samplers left. So this is the sampler that I bought. And it's actually absolutely charming. It even has the framer's tag from Oxford, England on the back. So this little sampler, incidentally, it was worked over one. And it was done at the Farringdon Subscription School in 1822, and it's signed Hannah Adams. And so I started researching this because I will probably reproduce this. I'm not sure when or in what form it will be, but it's just such a sweet, simple marking sampler. I have a funny story to tell you about this, though. So my neighbor Sue was over a couple weeks ago, and I showed her this little piece, and I'm studying it, and I said, Sue, I can't figure out what these numbers mean that are below the WXYZ. Now you're going to laugh because this is so simple. So up here at the top, after the alphabet, Hannah has stitched, there's a glare on there, I'm sorry, 1 through 8. Well, this series of numbers down here is just 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. But I thought it was some, secret message. Not so. So that was my purchase. I love it. It's very sweet. So it was worth all of the effort, of course, to go, and I'm very grateful to Gail for telling me about it. So I always like to gather things from my friends of, I'm going to try to move some of my things over here, JBW Designs Facebook page. I'm rearranging. Thank you for your patience. So people send the most wonderful photos of things that they've been working on, which is, it's easy to join. You just have to ask to join and answer a few questions. So I received wonderful pictures this week, and I had to share them with you. So the first one that I want to show you is this. It was done by Sharon. Actually, earlier in the week, she sent me the beginning of this pattern. This is from Alphabetique, which is really an ode to all French motifs. And what I loved about it, and this is what I like about that friend's page, is that rather than stitching it in one solid color, she chose to stitch it in blues and reds to mark the colors and whites of the French flag. And I just love how it turned out. And that's one of my goals with that friends page, is I like to see what you've done with my designs that are a little different from what I did. And that's the fun of it, is to see how clever you all are. So I'm gonna pull, I have piles here, which I always do. Okay, so this is what the model for Alphabetique looked like originally. And this, of course, is Sharon's interpretation. And I just, as I say, thought it was just great. So I'm going to set that down. And then, let's see, I also received, and this was so beautiful. So this is from Jill. And she, I'm going to get that closer for you. She had stitched the Bluebirds of Happiness, but this is, she photographed it on a quilt that her mother had made. And the combination of this quilt, which is just gorgeous, it looks like it's all hand appliqued, and the Bluebird sampler are just perfect together. I was so excited to see that from Jill. Thank you. And then I got another photo, and this was from Carol. And this actually is going to inspire some, probably a future video, some finishing instructions, because I either got an email or I met someone who said they were making, do I have this? I didn't pull the pattern. So this is, well, you can see it on here. So this piece, these pieces are done from the booklet that's called Eliza's, what is it? Sewing Smalls. And it includes a little scissors case, there's actually like a little pin cushion in here, and then a scissor fob. And Carol did the most gorgeous, I just rave about these people. Carol, I loved it because she stitched her design on white fabric, or an off-white, and then used this beautiful green fabric to set it off to make the little corner pocket. So someone asked me about finishing, and she said to me, oh, there are no finishing instructions in this booklet. And I don't usually put finishing instructions in my booklets. This was professionally finished, so I'm always hesitant, but I'm going to, as I say, approach this topic in a future video. So I just thought everything about it was just gorgeous. And then, let's see, I don't know if you remember this. I showed it in my last video. I might have to fold it a bit here. So this was done by Laura, and she too had done the Bluebird of Happiness sampler, and she had stitched, I couldn't tell what it was in the original picture, but she took one of the birds and stitched that and mounted it over like a covered button. And then the frame that she'd used that I talked about, she wrote to me and told me about the frame. It was a really interesting dark brown wood frame, and she bought it at Hobby Lobby, and she actually had her husband cut it down to fit this piece. So that was another thing that came about. And then the last thing I want to show you, and this actually happened at StitchCon, is that my friend Jen, who sat at our table, last year was working on this, and she brought it to the brag table, and I can't tell you, I was so excited to see it. Actually, I went up to the brag table twice to photograph this with her holding it, and each time somehow I veered off to do something else. So after I got home, I asked her if she'd send me a copy of it, but she had it framed. And so I've talked about this piece before, but some of you might not know about this. So that design comes from the Twas the Night series of booklets, and these are from a while ago. There are 4 booklets. Each booklet has a line from the Twas the Night poem used on 3 different ornaments. And after I finished the ornaments separately, I realized that this would be lovely worked as one complete design. And so you can write to me. Jen said it was on my webpage, and I forgot to double check it. But I designed a border and a layout for how to do all 12 of the Twas the Night designs as one framed piece, or it could be a pillow. So I thought you'd be excited to see how beautiful that turned out. All right, let's keep moving on. Oh, I know, I have one other note here. So one of the fun things about being at StitchCon, and then I'll leave that alone, is that there were a number of designers at the weekend A when I was there. And Sue Hillis was there, Cecilia from Heart and Hand, and she and I have known each other for years, and we got a chance to visit with one another. Liz Matthews was there, who I've met several times, and of course we were excited to see one another. Let's see, who else? Oh, and then there are quite a few people who are Flosstubers who are there. And Carrie with Tiger Lily, Shelley with Antique Needleworker. More water. Pam and Steph, of course, are very involved because they're part of the Keepsakes crew. Liz, the Wandering Stitcher, was there. Deb and Kef from Snug Harbor. Liz from Elizabeth Can Stitch, Teresa from Needle Bling. So that was really fun to reconnect with those people who, I've met over the years. So my theme for today is going to be pink and red. I always like to go into my models and pull out some things that I think that you might enjoy seeing. So I just, as you know, I love pink and red. I haven't left you yet, but I'm getting close, right? I'm going to try my tea with honey and see if that helps. All right, I'll try to soldier on here. So these have been designed over the last number of years, and I'm just going to show you the model and some of the things that you could do with each model. This is called an elegant alphabet, and the booklet looks like this. And one of the things that I like to encourage you is that you can always take a motif out of a design and make it into a little small. So I took the little bird with the envelope and made a tiny little pillow out of that. And then I also took another one of the birds and made a little scissor fob. And then I lined it with some French General fabric on the back. Oops, let's see if I can hold it still. And then just put cording around the edges. So there are many, many possibilities in these designs that are made up of antique motifs. So that's our first pink and red. Oh, I just spotted one other thing that I haven't shown you. I always like to give you new finishing ideas. So there's one other design that Kathy sent me. And she actually had kind of done the same thing with the French designs that I have. And she took the Around France design and she stitched it also in red, blues, and whites, the French flag. I feel like I'm going downhill. I'm trying to soldier on. And she mounted it in a paperweight, which I have done as a finish before. And it really looks so interesting. She made this for her daughter, who is a French professor. And I thought, what a perfect gift. So I thought, oh, I've got to show my viewers how you can use a paperweight. This is a design, this is not my design, that a friend of mine did for me years ago. And she mounted it in a paperweight that we just found when we were antiquing. And I just love the look of that. In fact, I leave it out all year round. I think it's so beautiful. All right. All right, let's show you another design that falls in the pink category. So as you know, I have a series of designs that are called French Country. And French Country are little designs that are made up of many, many different motifs. And this comes from the book called Hobby Horse. And so I stitched it in blue, of course, for a boy's birth sampler, and then in pink for a girl's birth sampler. And actually, that is the name of our youngest granddaughter, Eliana. So I love how that looks in pink. It was actually stitched on pink fabric. All right, here's another design that uses pink, but it was worked on black, which I know is tricky, but it's so striking, as you know. So first I'm going to show you the booklet. I showed this in the past, but hopefully you like seeing it again. So this is from the booklet that's called the Jardin Needlework Accessories. And it's, again, actually 3 pieces. It's a little booklet that I'm going to show you that could hold needles. There is a scissors case and there is a scissor fob. So let's see here. I'm just realizing, this went to a trunk show and I realized that the scissor fob had been pinned to the inside of the booklet. So this is what the little needle booklet looks like. Isn't that the most fabulous finishing. I did not finish it myself, but I hope you're inspired by seeing how wonderful it is. So it's basically two pieces. Your stitch design with a little trim at the bottom, and then the back piece, of course, which is lined on the back and on the inside. And then your wool is attached with buttons to that, and these front and back are attached with ribbons. And then this is the little, let me take the pin out here. Here is the tiny little scissor fob. And then here is, I forgot to bring scissors for you, the little scissors case. And again, it's just two pieces put together. So that's another pink for you. All right, let's go to red. And this is what's fun, is you can look at a design and you can stitch it in any color you want. That's the best part. So this is French Country Swans. Originally I stitched it in blue, but then of course you have to try it in something else. So I stitched it in white on red. And this is stitched on 28/1, but you could of course do it over 2. I just think it's so striking with that white on red. The contrast is so beautiful. So once again, that's French Country Swans. All right, we just have a few more to go. This is an older design that's called Ooh La La. Let's see, here's the booklet for it. And it actually is just a single board mounted with your design on the front, a little pocket on the back, and incidentally, this is, the Velcro is just there for display. And your scissors and your little fob go in the back pocket of the Ooh La La pocket. So I finished this. It's just finished with a tiny narrow rickrack along the side, mounted on comic board. That reminds me, I love how this turned out, incidentally. I got a phone call from someone several weeks ago, and I wrote down her number. I was going to call her back, and she had a question about comic board, and I was going to answer it for her. Well, I have misplaced her phone number. So I want to tell you, if you ever contact me and I don't respond, it's because something like that happened. It's not intentional. So I always try to respond to your emails and your requests. So here's another design that is very spring summery looking. It's called the French Flower Cart. Now, I think I've told you before, the cover of this book is not as crisp as I would like, but the model itself is just so fresh. And I love the colors, the pinks and greens together. And I could see this as done as a needle book also. And that reminds me, when Chris Cross Stitch wrote to me yesterday, this was such a nice comment. He said, his quote was, "I was blown away by seeing your models at Keepsakes." So Keepsakes has a little side store called the Annex, and they had 42 trunk shows from all different designers. But his comment was interesting because he said the covers of the books, the photographs, don't do the pieces justice until you see them in person. And that's so true. All right, we've got 3 or 4 more here, and then I will try to close it up for you. So this is another little French country design, and it is the hot air balloon. Again, this is stitched over 1, but I also, on the cover of the book, you can see the design stitched over 2. That, to me, has a very French feel to it also. Let's see. But I just think it's so sweet. And once again, it's on red on a cream fabric. All right, I have 3 more framed pieces to show you. This is an older one too, but it's called the Rabbit Alphabet. And you can see that it was so much fun to design, because the little rabbits I found from antique samplers, and you know how much I love doing alphabet designs. And I've seen this done in all kinds of color combinations. It has been absolutely striking. So be sure to send me your pictures if you try some different things. This is Ode to Britain, worked in red. This is what this design looks like. That was a fun piece. You know, I think I've told you in the past, there's something in here that's sliding. I just heard it. That when I do a design like this, I make a list before I begin. And I make a list of all the motifs that I think would be appropriate to Britain or England. And it was so much fun to go through that list and then try to assemble them. And so we've got Big Ben and London Bridge, excuse me, the bus, the umbrella, the lions, a crest, a ship. It was just, as always, you know, I do love designing, that's for sure. All right, last one, and then we'll try to close it up. So this is another one that is done in, let's see, I'll have to look to see what color this was stitched in. I used actually two. I used a dark raspberry DMC and then a medium salmon to do this piece. And this is called A Joyful Purpose. And that's what the booklet looks like. And the quote that I used in this one was one that I found in one of my Pennsylvania Dutch sampler books. And it reads, "Joy in work for labors all, make the work and effort small," which is kind of how I feel that we feel about our cross stitch. We absolutely love what we do, and it's worth all the effort that we put forth. So that is the end of my theme for the week, the pink and red. I do have a shop of the week, and this one that I chose this week is Stitch New England. Hopefully I didn't make any typing errors. I noticed last time I did a video I misspelled something. It was just very, very peculiar. I need to prove my work here. So it's at 16 North Washington Street, North Attleboro, Massachusetts. And the owner is Pam. This is a fairly new shop. I think she's maybe 3 or 4 years old. She's done a great job of promoting her shop, having retreats, having all kinds of events. And her email here is stitchnewengland@gmail.com. So always when I feature a shop, I encourage you to go to that shop. They would so appreciate your mail order business, even if you don't live in the vicinity. So this week I chose 3 names, as I always do, for prizes, and I use the random number generator. I look at the comments, and so this week, actually one of these I know is Kim from Contented Needleworker won a prize, and I always say you can choose any of the patterns that I showed today, and I will send one of those to you. Loretta Henderson won a prize, and Park House Stitches won a prize. So I have watched in the last, incidentally, backtrack. Send me an email, judy@jbwdesigns.com. That's the best way to reach me, and then I'll have you send me your address, and I will send out your prize. So this past week I watched the second, actually, Flosstube that was done by 2 new Flosstubers. And the ones I'm going to mention, actually, Brenda and Laura have mentioned also, from Brenda and the Serial Starter. These women, their Flosstubes are outstanding. So if you haven't taken time to watch them, I'm going to encourage you to do so. One is Sean with Periwinkle Stitcher. She lives in Wales. Absolutely charming. The breadth of the work that she does, from cross stitch to quilting, etc., is just wonderful, and I love listening to her speak. And the other one, who is Jackie from the Comfort Stitcher, you will love her also if you haven't checked her out. She has the most soothing voice, and her background is also very, very interesting. She was actually a designer with Mary Englebright years ago, and so she started telling us a little bit more about in the last video about what her role was, and I found that so interesting. So a quick life update. This last weekend we had a Father's Day picnic with my son and his family, and then we couldn't get everybody together on one day, and then another day we had dinner with our daughter and our son-in-law and grandson Liam, and so that was just lovely to see both parts of the family, although actually several family members are missing because they're off traveling, which is what happens these days. I wanted to show you, so one of the things I try to do before I do my video is I like to go out in the yard and pick out a bouquet of flowers for you. Now my garden is a work in progress, but this morning I was able to get a couple roses and a couple of hydrangeas, and so I put together a bouquet, but I took some pictures I thought you might enjoy. So we live, first of all, on the top of a hill in the woods. So a lot of the yard is shaded. We're surrounded by trees and ravines, etc. So this is part of the backyard off the patio. But the contrast of the shrubs and the trees in the background is just, we love it. We have a screen porch and we spend a lot of time out there. And this is another view. There's a fence with bird houses, etc. So as I say, I work on the yard every week, but I have a long ways to go, and we've lived here a long time, but it's fun. I really enjoy it. So how to contact me: Judy at jbwdesigns.com, as I mentioned. My website is jbwdesigns.com. My Instagram is judy.whitman, and then of course my Facebook friends page. So I always like to end with a quotation, and the quotation this week is: appreciation can make a day, even change a life. Your willingness to put it into words is all that is necessary. And that's what I hope to do with my videos, is to tell you once again how much I appreciate you all. So thank you for sticking with me. I know I kind of fell apart a few times there, but I made it through, so yay. I hope to be here in 2 weeks. I'm not sure. We have company coming from out of town, so I will make one as soon as I can. So thanks. Have a good day. Stay safe, stay warm. No, stay cool. It's very hot. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.